Well, more and more I have been over the last 10 years about being the composer credit that I have never been given. It's because really the guitar aspect and the technical aspect of what I was known for in the beginning, it was so much talked about and given credit for that it overrode anything that I did from even the first record. And even if you go back 26 records, 26 CDs or whatever, you know, if you really listen to all of those records, the compositions are as much or more than even the playing. And I know that I'm getting a lot of credit for the writing these days. I've just been nominated for a Grammy. It's not because of the playing, it's because of the compositions. And it just took a long time for that to rise up to where the playing is, you know. So I think now it's finally, even though it's kind of late, it's finally catching up. So I'm happy for that, because if you're a player that's only known for great improvisation, it's pretty boring. You know, it can't be just about that. I think what I've observed over the last, I would say, 5 to 10 years, primarily is we're touching the hearts of the people as well as the intellect and the brain. So it's not just a technical, harmonically interesting music that communicates to musicians. It's also getting, at the same time of it being intelligent, it's being heartfelt. This is my first time here, I think, and this is a very memorable one, I'm sure, for many, many years. I've been playing a very, very long time now, and this set of music we're going to do tonight is covering several periods of my career. We're going to focus on some new music also from the new CD that came out this year with these wonderful musicians. I want to introduce to you from the north of Italy on accordion. This is Fausto Beccolosi. From Budapest, Hungary on drums, Peter Korsás. And from Sardinia, joining me on guitar is Peo Alfonsi. And that's what I found to be far more important. And that discovery happened in 1984 when I became very good friends with the late tango master, Astor Piazzolla, who was my hero in a sense, and who had become a very good friend of mine, sort of like a father figure. And the influence of this man's composition and his music was a turning point at that point in the mid-career. And I knew that that would be the influence for the rest of my life. Because his music, at the very same time that it was challenging and interesting for the brain, it was never at the expense of anything else. So it was always stimulating, but at the same time emotional. And that's what I saw as the future. Different than jazz, because jazz never touched the heart. It was always intellectual. This was intellectual, but also moving. And if you can make an audience feel sensations of missing and crying and loss, where it touches the heart, that's far more deep and far more rewarding than anything else. It comes from within, so it's the language in which, speaks for me better about who I am than I could say with words. I think the Italian roots are very much in my music. They're very much a part of, you can hear it. My inclusion of the accordion, the sentiment of that instrument is it's second to the voice. I thought guitar was second to the voice, but really accordion is really an instrument that evokes emotion, and very well. Guitar too. So very symbolic of Italian music is that instrument and how it can evoke all of those wide ranges of different feelings and stuff. And definitely I grew up with a lot of this music, so that plus the influence of Piazzolla and the background of starting with Chick Corea has blended into a kind of hopefully viewed as a unique combination of sound that we have. This next one is also a new one from the new CD. This is one I wrote in dedication to my father, who was one of 13 children. In fact, he was number 7. So this was a piece I decided to call Michelangelo's 7th child, my grandfather being Michelangelo. So there you have it. This is for him.
Thank you very much.
Well, if it was my name alone, then it could have signified to an audience something electric. It could have been more rock jazz oriented or fusion. But the initial idea behind World Sinfonia was acoustic guitar, pretty much based with either a bandoneon, which is an Argentinian style accordion, or an accordion, a traditional one. That combination with percussion was my view of that type of group. So to set it aside from the image of just my name attached to an electric group. So I kept that going, as a result. I think I'm a rhythmically oriented musician that is probably far better at being a percussionist than a guitarist. I just happen to play guitar. So I took my influences of rhythm and I applied it to how I write. So a lot of the arpeggios that are the basis of my compositions are highly rhythmic. I'm not saying that the melody is so much, but the arpeggiated parts are an interesting rhythmic kind of idea that it starts with. And then I syncopate the actual percussion parts that are completely separate from the arpeggiated melodic part. So it's highly composed music, in a sense, with improvisation parts built within. European promoters promote what they like. American promoters promote for money. What's popular. They don't care about music at all. They care about making money, not about the music. Big difference. So in Europe, we love working because promoters are also respectful for the most part about what they're promoting. They like the music. That's why they want to promote it. That's the way it should be. We have audience members that love music and want to feel music on a deeper level. Americans want to feel music on the surface. They don't want to go too deep. They don't want to be touched too deeply because it hurts. It can't be too emotional. They don't want to go there. They rather have loud, hit you over the head music. I play music that's more Eurocentric.